There was about 7 or 8 of us officers went up. When we reached the 17th floor, the elevator door was open. The elevator flooded with smoke, and we were unable to enter the floor due to the smoke. The door was shut, and the elevator stuck, wouldn't go down. I think it was a maintenance man finally fooled with the door long enough to get the elevator operative, and we came down then.
What did you do with the smoke in there?
We all got on the floor. It was quite an experience.
Then you went about helping a lot of these older people out and down the stairs and...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We broke into 1- and 2-man pairs and knocked on doors and got the people out. I covered, I think, 4 through 7 before I left.
Did you find anybody that didn't want to leave?
No, they were all ready to go.
We're going to hold him here till we know his need. Have him advise us back through that telephone line to the command car, or fort chief it should be.
Yes, we'll make some changes. It's something that we have been hoping to get corrected, and we haven't really corrected the things that we've been weakening. So it's not so much the loss as it is that we're not doing some things well, and we feel like that we need to get more blocking from our offensive team. We're going to move Billy Truax and Lance Allworth into the starting lineup to see whether this will help our situation some. Roger Staubach will start at quarterback, which is no reason because of the loss. It's just a matter we have 2 quarterbacks and we're going to use them in different ball games. We will bring Cliff Harris into the defensive secondary to play free safety, and we hope that this will bolster our defense some.
I have something personal against Texas. They beat us, and I'm from Texas, and people tease you about, not being able to beat Texas, so I want to prove something to my hometown folks.
Coach Royal says that you and Joe Wiley scald the corners, and he fears your speed. Does this make you feel good as you go into a big game?
Well, in a way it does, but I know that they'll be doing something to try and make it hard on me on the corners, but I'll just try harder to block off the corners, and Joe will too, I suppose.
How do you feel about your Oklahoma team this year? You think if you get by, well, I don't want to say if you get by Texas because you have so many big ones down the line, but this has to be your biggest game of the year, don't you feel? To date, anyway.
Right, it will be our biggest game, but I think a team as a whole is confident that we can beat Texas. Everybody understands offense, and I'm confident too. I'm not as nervous as I usually am when we go down and beat Texas, but I think we can beat them this year, really.
Well, this last game, especially the first half, there wasn't too much running opportunities for the fullback, especially the way we're reading the veer, we're going automatically to the outside.
What about Oklahoma's defense? How do they compare with the Oregon squad?
I really haven't looked at their defense right now, but from what I understand, they really have a good defense.
For the first time since Mayor Stovall was elected more than 4 years ago, he will now have his own office. Heretofore, he took what little room he could find in the old City Hall. The city will continue to occupy the old building, which will mean more room for police operations. At the end of this month, there will be band playing, speeches, and ribbon-cutting ceremonies to dedicate the new City Hall. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
I know personally I am. I'm anxious to get down there, and if we could, I'd like to start the season all over. Of course, I don't want anything to happen down there that happened up here this year, but I'm really looking forward. I think most of the guys, I guess Frank Howard's the only one that really doesn't want to come down there, and his reasons are personal reasons. It's nothing against the city of Dallas or the area, but I think the rest of us are very anxious to come down.
What about your year? Obviously, it's been much publicized. It was an unfortunate year for you. Do you have an answer to what went wrong?
Well, I think just a whole bunch of things. I don't think I really pitched that bad, because I think up until the All-Star break, I pitched as well as I've ever pitched in my career. And I think at the All-Star break, I was 5-15 or something. So it was just one of those things that you say not enough runs. And I realized one thing. you're only as good as a defense, you know, and I'm not cutting up our defense because our guys played as well as they could play. And I think that's the big thing that I missed here that I had over in Detroit. But it's just one of those years. It's over with, thank God, and I'm looking forward to next year already.
Of course, there has been, Denny, much publicity about the supposed hard feelings between you and Ted Williams. Are there hard feelings, in fact?
Well, the only hard feelings I think Ted and I have, and the only differences of opinion we've ever had is versus every fourth day and fifth day. I've been, I think, quite successful pitching every fourth day in my career, and Ted has not allowed me to do that here.
Denny, how much of an actual effect will fan interest have on say, your performance as a pitcher?
Well, I think it'll have a great deal. I think when you've got people in a ballpark, you're a little bit aggressive, you know, and you don't want to be embarrassed. You know, you don't mind being embarrassed, believe it or not, in front of 1,000 people is what we've had here. And it's just disappointing, especially, you know, where I've come from, Detroit. We've always drawn 1.5 million people over there. And it's just unfortunate that you come over here and I know after the first month and a half of the season, we only had 3,000, 3,500 people here in the ballpark on times. And that's just discouraging. You just don't even feel like, because it doesn't even feel like the big leagues.
Did the smoke come into where you were?
Yes, nothing. I knew nothing until I opened the curtains and looked down, and everybody was looking up, so I thought I'd better get out.
She's 81 years old, and we're from Texarkana. She's Ms. William B. Brown. I'm Ms. Herbert McClure.
You're here for the DAR convention?
UDC.
UDC, I'm sorry. And I guess that there have been a lot of elderly people. I've noticed people with crutches. It's been a real problem, hasn't it?
I got in the elevator after I got out in the hall and pressed the button to come down, and nothing worked. And with that time, the smoke came in on me, and fire filled the whole lobby, and I screamed for help.
Was there someone there to help you?
At the end of that. At the end of that.
There was no one there.
At the end of that place by the fire. I dashed out of the elevator into the smoke, couldn't see a thing in front of me, and some man's hand stuck out and took hold of me. That's the way I got away.
Then you had to come down the stairs, 16 floors?
Only to about 2 or 3 floors, and he put me in a room and on a bed and called for a doctor that never has come yet. And then I got a little better. My mouth's so dry, I can't talk. And so finally, the fireman said, take this lady to the lobby. And I went down. The elevator was working there. And that's where I got down. But I had lost all of my 3 friends and couldn't find them. Here's my roommate.
The policemen were then available?
A very fine young policeman went right straight up and to get her. And he was very gracious and very fine.
I had a lean foot, and I was stumbling down the stairs. I know I had a job holding up this 160-some-odd pounds. But
how do you feel now?
rather shaky, and my mouth's so dry I can hardly talk. And then finding some sweet people.
Whiskey, do you?
No, sure don't.
Well, of course, the major problem with this fire was the first three alarms that we put on it. We got something like 55 or 60 men that answered the call, and all they did was just evacuate the people. We didn't get around to fighting the fire until we'd been here around 15, 20, or 25 minutes. First thing we do is make sure all the people are out of the building, and then we go to the business of fighting the fire. We can replace a lot of buildings, but we can't do much with lives.
How's the operation different from a fire down on the lower floor, though?
Well, you can think of a fire on the ground floor and you raise it 18 stories, you make 18 more problems. It's 18 times worse.
Hey! Hey!
Of course, that's been in the mind of somebody else, not in my mind. I've felt completely at peace with myself on the things that I tried to do, which other people labeled controversial. For instance, I worked constantly to get adequate salaries for the members of the district attorney's staff when I was DA. I helped to break down the color line in the courthouse. As a matter of fact, I hired the first black assistant DA in the South.
During your first term as district attorney in Tarrant County, your name was linked with just about everything that went on, and not always just as a prosecutor. Does that leave you any bitterness as you move back into the district attorney's office again?
I want to enter into this office without any kind of bitterness. I have none at all, and I hope that no one has bitterness against me.
But you see new systems, existing systems, buses, railroad commuter service, rail rapid service, wherever they make sense, and regional planning dictates that they be installed, will all together go to solve the urban transportation problem.
What kind of transit then can we expect in this area? Can you forecast that?
Well, I think that it's really up to the local community to decide what type of transit system optimizes the requirements for the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think that in the near term, you're going to be using buses.
The name is one that's most familiar in Tarrant County. The new man in the district attorney's chair is Doug Crouch. He was district attorney here once before, from 1959 until 1966. Then Frank Coffey took the job, and although no one has said so publicly, it's pretty safe to presume that Coffey is about as happy to be out of the job as Crouch is to be back. The name Doug Crouch, when he was in last and during the time since, as a matter of fact, has almost become synonymous with the word controversial. There are those who would have us believe that Doug Crouch never, ever really quit running the district attorney's office, even while Frank Coffey was in the chair. Whatever the truth of that is, one thing is for certain. Doug Crouch is a man who speaks plainly. Nobody has trouble understanding him, and when he moves back into the chair tomorrow morning, he will definitely be the district attorney of Tarrant County. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move at the Tarrant County Courthouse.
Governor Preston Smith's claim that he did not know that Frank Sharp wanted those banking bills passed by the special session of the legislature in 1969 got a big boost in testimony given to the SEC by one of Preston Smith's aides, Bob Bullock, who has now been appointed Secretary of State. Frank Sharp had said that he thought that Dr. Elmer Baum, maybe Speaker Mutcher, and others had told Governor Smith that he, Sharp, wanted those bills passed. However, in Bullock's deposition, he described a telephone conversation that occurred after the bills were vetoed in October or November of 1969, in which he, Bullock, got Sharp on the phone for Governor Smith, and along with a list of other persons whom they were calling for campaign support. He said that he got Sharp on the phone and turned the phone over to the governor. Then he said that Governor Smith said, "Frank, this is Preston Smith." And I believe he asked him how he was getting along, and he said, "Frank, I'm phoning a few of you fellas that I know are interested in politics to tell you I'm going to be a candidate for re-election and hope that you're going to support me." Then I heard the governor say something to the effect, "You didn't tell me." And then I heard him make a statement something to the effect, "Well, he didn't tell me." And then I thought he said, "Well, I'm sorry," or something to that effect, maybe a few other remarks. Then he hung up. And he turned around to me and had a funny expression on his face. And he sat there for a minute and he says, "You know, I don't believe he's going to support me." And I asked him, "Why not?" He said, "He told me that I had vetoed some banking bills or a bill in which he was interested." And he said, I asked Frank, "Well, if you were interested, why didn't you call me?" And Frank said, "Well, Dr. Baum knew about it." And I said, "Well, I don't recall Dr. Baum telling me." That's testimony from Bob Bullock, a former aide of Preston Smith's. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move at the Dallas Federal Building.
Probably depends how the game is going on, how we're running the ball, what they're giving us, and also probably how they're covering us.
Well, now Jim Moore was hurt. Has he made a cut in the game against Oregon?
Yes, sir. He caught a pass, was making a cut, and his knee gave out on him.
This then will be your first visit as a varsity Longhorn to the Cotton Bowl, will it not?
Yes, sir. I've never been in the Cotton Bowl before.
Well, it should be quite an experience for you.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
Thomas, I wonder if I could get your summary of his situation as far as his ability to play now, his reception by the other team members, and his attitude toward the game.
Well, actually, Duane Thomas is no different right now than he was all last year. He's accepted by our club. He's been working very hard in practice. He's ready to play, and I don't see that we'll probably use him against New York, either at the fullback or the halfback spot. It's amazing how well he stepped back in and remembered all the things. At halfback, he had very little trouble making the adjustment after laying off a long period of time.